Hey, what's going on, guys? Today on the show, it's all about the news from the last 7 days. Did Nvidia get caught with chip smugglers? What is OpenAI doing on campuses and how they're investing? Google's letting you see their screen now. We've got Anthropic with a massive new valuation. We have call centers that are trying to scrub the traditional Indian accent. Well, that's a big story. Let's talk about that one. We have a whole bunch to talk about over the next, 45 minutes or so. All the news stories that we as a group thought were interesting. Hang with us. You're going to learn a lot here. I know I always learn about news stories. So does everybody else that I didn't even know were going on. So we'll touch some of the bigger stories, but we always go a little bit deeper and tell you about some really amazing things happening in the world of AI that maybe you didn't know were going on. So this is the Daily AI Show. Today is March 5th, 2025. I am joined by Beth, Jumi, Andy, and I'm Brian, and we are going to get into all the goodness here. So I will be honest, I did not have on my bingo card for today about Nvidia. So who wants to talk about Nvidia? Because I don't think I know that story. Speaking of,
Okay, so Singapore authorities arrested three men, two Singapore nationals and one Chinese national on fraud charges related to the alleged smuggling of Nvidia AI chips. It turns out that Singapore represented nearly 28% of Nvidia's company's revenue in 2024. So Nvidia's second largest revenue hub in 2024, accounting for nearly 28% of the company's revenue. So that seems suspicious, particularly as it related to potentially China getting access to the chips that they're not supposed to have access to, and the reason that that becomes relevant. I mean, it's relevant for all kinds of reasons, but that was one of the ideas behind did DeepSeek really get developed for so little money? Or were they unable to say what they developed NVIDIA on? We still don't know, but this is an additional piece of information in that story.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Go
yeah, I
ahead.
did wanna comment on that particular reference a little bit. Um, I was actually listening to a couple of the latest, guests, being interviewed on the Lex Friedman show, and of course, I'm blanking on their names right now, but they are big in deep, AI engineer people, and they broke down the papers that DeepSeek released and additional information like that. And their consensus now is that the gains that they got is explainable by their tech. So, it's probably like in most things, there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but that's one of the things that contributed is this these learning and programming techniques where they went in and actually messed with the controller on the chip at the chip level, like assembly level, that really gave them the gains. And that came from a lot of, the controlled nature of the chips and things like that. I'm sure there is a booming business in uh, black market Nvidia chips
Yes,
because everybody wants their data center, no matter where they're at.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So uh, it is still a story, and an AI story, even if it's not associated with DeepSeek, but part of the push, I think, or an additional push was the question that came out of DeepSeek. Because again, we remarked on this on all the shows that we did on DeepSeek, which may have been 2. Um, uh, Muggles, were asking questions about DeepSeek, right? Like, people who are not inside the bubble. Uh, so I d yes.
I knew what you meant. Just
So it crossed the barrier to outside the bubble, which also could, turn up heat and an investigation would get pushed further than it naturally would, before.
Jude said in the comments, "Oh, I thought it was chip snugglers, a much cuter topic." Guys, it's been kind of a funny morning here, as we got kind of got things going, and Jeff is now laughing at Matt Muggles on there, which just caught me off guard. I was going to say about this, but in all seriousness, it's sort of like a non-AI story, but kind of connected. I just read or saw a piece yesterday talking about Cambodia, as a matter of fact, and there's this like part of town that is clearly owned and operated by China. And this isn't something that like just sprung up yesterday. It was actually during the first Trump presidency when there was talks of tariffs with China and stuff like that. So it's sort of connected in a way of what you guys are talking about, but it's this idea of getting around tariffs and all the unique and individual ways. And one of the ways that China is one of the ways they're doing that is by taking Chinese companies, relocating them to Cambodia, which I guess doesn't currently have tariffs and then imports or whatever. And so there's a big question of the news story I saw was just simply is is Cambodia going to ending up getting hit by the government because they see this or whatever, and now will Cambodia and that's like, dying by indirect fire, man, because like you look at a country like Cambodia, I'm sure they can't take that hit, what that would do for exports. But when you look at exports to the US from Cambodia, since the first Trump presidency, they jumped tremendously. Not exactly an AI story. We don't have to, go more into this, but I do feel like it's all sort of part of this conversation that you guys are having. And so, anyway, not even on my big old card for today, but just happened to be something I saw yesterday and felt like it was a little connected to it. Go for it, Jimmy.
I, I gotta weave. I gotta weave
Do it.
since we're talking about chips and we're talking about that region, Southeast Asia. So, number one, ARM, which is a major chip manufacturer, they primarily focus on single board computing and a major chip provider and manufacturer for mobile devices. Right, vast majority of mobile devices use ARM processors. Right, uh, low power, small form factor, and that's been the train that they've been building on. Well, number one, a near neighbor of Cambodia, Malaysia, uh, has signed a $250 million chip deal with ARM to increase manufacturing and training as part of Malaysia's um, larger campaign or plan for a chip market or a chip manufacturing arm in that region, which I think is pretty good. Another step in making sure that we don't have a single point of failure or a single point of conflict and things like that. So there's a deal going on there. Also, ARM and Stability AI. And Stability's been around in the game for a while now and putting out a lot of open source versions of their AI weights and all those kinds of things that people can use. They also Stability AI is also the commercial arm, the enterprise arm of that organization, and they are optimizing for ARM components, for ARM chips on mobile devices. They're optimizing their audio generation model. So this allows you to create music. They're hoping will allow you to just do anything that requires audio processing. Right now, they haven't released the model for download or anything like that yet, but one of their claims is that that model is completely built on royalty-free audio and songs, so you don't have to worry about, copyright infringements and all those kinds of things. But this is geared towards the mobile market, right? So there's a big conference that was going on or that is going on or is wrapping up soon in Barcelona called the Mobile World Congress. And this is essentially where everybody in the mobile world gets to talk about and release their information. So yeah, so that's all together as chip manufacturing and in Southeast Asia. Go.
Well, I mean, we have one other chip story too. Since and by the way, our live chat has gone nuts with chips. They're now talking about guacamole, popcorn, chips you can shove in your mouth, jalapeno chips, chocolate chips, crisps. They are full blown. They are on it this morning. But we're going to keep talking about AI chips. So I'm going to talk about TSMC. I think everybody has heard us talk about how they have their Arizona plant. Well, 2 days ago, they announced another $100 million investment into US chip making. I don't think this is a shock to anybody. This is something TSMC has been working on for quite a while to have, chip making in the United States. This $100 billion investment builds upon the $65 billion TSMC is already committed to building 3 Arizona plants. Last year, TSMC pushed back the timeline for its second Arizona plant, saying it will open in 2027 or 2028 instead of 2026. The big thing here is that they have already in January, they already started producing 4 nanometer chips in Arizona. But what they want to do, if they're like leading edge and where TSMC is doing over in Taiwan, that would be 2 nanometer chips. So it's not that they're not great chips and helping and all that from the US factories, but they're not bleeding edge. Apparently, just based on this, that would be like 2 nanometer. I don't know if it goes lower than that. But they're hoping to be able to do that by the end of the decade. So the next 5 years, you're going to be looking at quite a few more buildings on that Arizona property. I looked in the article. This is from The Verge. I don't see where they say they're diversifying outside of Arizona. So I believe this is on the Arizona plant that they're talking about. So all in one place. And when I watched that, I think it was a CNBC thing, and they were talking to the president who was in charge of the property. I do remember him saying, we have a lot of room to expand here. They're not hemmed in on any real side when you look at where it is in Arizona. So it looks like they could expand probably as far as they want to. Kind of the Disney model, like come into swamp ridden Orlando and build and buy 40 square acres of property, then build whatever you want for the next 7 decades. So kind of that idea is like, go where nobody else is, expand as much as you want because you own the property. So just wanted to bring that up as a pivot for chips. I don't think I have any more chips.
I have a chip story. I have a different type. Cortical Labs, we've mentioned it on the show once before, announced the commercial launch of CL1, the first biological computer that integrates human stem cell cultivated neurons
Mm.
with silicon technology. And they're calling it synthetic biological intelligence. It combines some adaptability of human neurons with the powerful processing capabilities of traditional silicon chips. So there you go.
That's very cool.
Very cool. Bionics. All right. Yeah, and let's remember to bring this up for discussion on Friday Sci-Fi AI.
That's right. Positronic brain.
All right, so I'm putting in the chat trigger warning skeeve alert because I do understand the energy efficiency of it still totally skews me out. And the reason that they could do that was because they can now keep them alive for more than a year, but they've kept them alive efficiently for 6 months. And that was an advance in it's still it's
Yep.
like this whole week has been like Cylons. Yeah, maybe Battlestar Galactica.
Say, remember Clone from yesterday?
Yeah.
Clone and this technology combined together. Ooh. Okay.
By the way, if anybody hasn't, it's not an AI story. Well, maybe I'm sure there's AI involved in it, but did anybody see the rats that were injected with woolly mammoth DNA?
Yes.
That's interesting. That's something we're doing. So, Go Society, we're now making woolly mammoth rats.
Very
Do that.
cute. They were very cute.
They were very cute. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but they were very cute. I don't know if I want cute rats. I don't know if that's the solution here, but it was interesting.
They've made rats glow in the dark before.
Yeah,
Right.
I know.
So glow in the dark woolly mammoth rats or woolly mammoth sized and tusked glow in the dark rats.
Rodents.
This
Yeah.
reminds
The,
me-
the B movie writes itself.
Yeah,
It's Princess Bride as like prophetic, right? Like rodents of unusual size, ROUSs. Yes.
This reminds me of the movie Mars Attacks, where the Martians take some of the humans and do weird experiments on them, and they're making all kinds of modifications to their DNA.
Yeah. Yeah. I do have a kind of a not a rat story, but I did find this interesting as somebody who was born in '78 and grew up through the '85 release of Super Mario Brothers. That they are now using the original Super Mario Brothers as a what would you call it? Sorry, benchmark for AI. So, like, what can Claude 3.7 do with it? How does Gemini 1.5, OpenAI's 4.0, which it says struggled. This is from TechCrunch. Um, Claude 3.7, probably not a surprise to us, performed the best. There was obviously a clear indication that 3.7 last week when it was announced was a nod towards more coding work and ability. That's a different view. Yeah, I don't have much more to say on it other than I think they're showing three well, on the screen, they're actually showing, I guess, 4 different examples. Claude 3.7, 3.5, Gemini 1.5 Pro, and GPT 4.0, which I only find funny because the GPT 4.0 little gift that they have in the middle of the screen just says game over because that was the one they didn't like the best. So, um, as somebody who played that game, I untold amount of hours in the mid 80s. And my personal story on that was when we moved from California. I lived in California for 1 year as a kid, but then we had to move to Atlanta because Western Airlines was bought out by Delta Airlines. We'd only been there a year in Irvine, California. And of course, my brother and I were pretty bummed to have just made friends and been like, whoop, we're going to Atlanta. And my mom from Brooklyn, this is before Google Maps, famously said, where is Atlanta? Like in the, like no conceptual idea of where Atlanta was on the map of the United States. That's how far away this was for us as people from New York. So we get there. My mom, trying to make things better, goes, look, this town, Peachtree City, where I grew up in Georgia, has golf carts. It's always been famous for golf carts. And she's like, and these are not equal choices. So I don't know what we were thinking, but she's like, would you rather have a golf cart when we get to Peachtree City or Nintendo NES? Me and my brother are like, Nintendo NES. So my story of that is it got put on it was bought in California and put on the truck. And I remember these two guys from Allied or whatever putting that box on the moving truck so that my brother and I could get it off first. And they even set up the TV upstairs and us in the brand new house in Georgia. So me and my brother, probably to get out of everybody's way. So it was smart by the parents, but so me and my brother could play Super Mario Brothers when we got to the new house. So like anyway, kind of just a sort of a fun backstory on it or whatever, like my memories of it. But I think it is super cool to be all this far forward. And it was like Tetris, Tetris, Tetris. And now they're like, oh no, it can 100% faithfully reproduce now the game I grew up loving. So it's just super cool. So just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was a cool story. All right, what else?
I mean, and it's indicative of how programmers and scientists are using gaming as a basis to test capabilities. Like we've heard the meme that Doom has been programmed on everything. I think the latest thing I heard was that it was like programmed on something at the micro level, uh, or on a cell or something like that. But I'll leave that there. And
Yeah, well, I forgot about Wolfenstein. Wasn't that always the original like Doom, I guess? But before that, Wolfenstein was the game on PCs that you're like, oh man, if we could recreate this, that's amazing. So how far we've come in 2025. All right, let's keep things moving. Who else has got some more news stories to share?
I've got a story about a company that's really important in the world of AI, but we don't talk about very often. They don't surface that frequently, and it's called Cohere. So Cohere was founded in 2019 by three young researchers who all worked at Google Brain, but had all come from the University of Toronto earlier. And Cohere has some of the most advanced open source models out there. Their nonprofit research arm uh, just released a model called Vision. It's an open source multimodal AI that has vision language capabilities. This is interesting because we talked about the announcement from Figure, the robotics company, about their vision language action model. They built Helix, which is a vision language action model. Well, Cohere's advanced the state of the art for vision and language, just not with an embodied AI to go along with it. And it's now capable of doing visual interpretation across 23 different languages. And that's setting new performance benchmarks in visual comprehension. And it can interpret and describe images, answer visual questions, and translate visual content across all those 23 languages from Vietnamese to Arabic. And that's a really important step forward. So this small company, Cohere, is really advancing open source capabilities on the vision multimodal side.
That is really cool. That is really cool. I have a quick story from that. Again, this is like this makes sense. 11 Labs was announcing, I think maybe a day or two ago, that now you can use Claude 3.7 Sonnet as part of 11 Labs. 11 Labs, if you don't know, is one of the earlier companies that we were sort of talking about, where you can do voice cloning, you can do text to voice or text to speech, I guess it would be, of a variety of different types of voices, or you can clone your own and use your own. And I did a demo not too long ago with 11 Labs being part of that, using my own voice and making an agent, so on and so forth. But absolutely 3.7 being part of this. I mean, 3.7 has a great conversational feel to it. And if that's the goal of what you're trying to get out of, connecting that through 11 Labs through an API, 100% makes sense to me. That's like automatic upgrades for a lot of chatbots, really, when you think about it, because you're going to get that better conversational tone. It feels a little more natural. People are saying the same, by the way, at 4.5. So we'll have to see, because costs are still prohibitive on that side, as Sam Altman has said. So, like, is that really going to be a solution inside 11 Labs? Well, probably not through an API, because you're gonna pay an arm and a leg at the moment. But we also see costs come down so fast. So even if 4.5 is like prohibitively expensive today, I want to say by the end of the year and probably sooner, it wouldn't be, right? Because we're just seeing costs drop so quickly on these as the models get smarter. So anyway, just a quick story. 3.7 is now available inside of Ledla.
Leave off of that one to one of the most important stories this week. The 4.5 language capability has advanced towards much more simile with what human conversation is like and what empathetic, understanding is, and identifying the intentions. But a new genie is out of the bottle, which is Open Sesame, right? So Sesame is getting a lot of buzz out there right now. And what you should do is go and search for Sesame AI voice. Just do that. You'll find links to different demonstrations of Sesame in voice interaction. This is an advanced voice mode model, but it is getting a lot of praise right now because it's very similar to how a human would speak, along with all the different little ticks and quirks that are a part of human speech. So check it out, Sesame.
That is a cool story.
Uh, I have a quick one as well that's related to text to speech and 11 Labs is the Podcastle, which is a relatively new startup in the podcasting realm. They finally released their model, and it comes with 450 AI voices. Right, we have seen and talked about the potential of using notebook LMs, little podcast summary. We use it in the new Conundrum releases on Saturdays. Um, but since this platform is about podcasting and they're offering so many different voices, we might start to see a huge influx of AI podcasts or AI voiced podcasts. One of the big things about their model, Async Flow, is they're planning to release an API for developers. So there's direct integration. And we know that having API access allows for a lot of different applications to be built out of it. Now, they consider themselves a competitor to 11 Labs, and they in the text to speech option that they have. I haven't tested it yet, but it'd be interesting to do a comparison of these various text to speech models and see where we're at. This kind of links back to things that Stability was doing and whatnot. Now, here's the big thing that might help in the process of pushing the prices down is podcasts Podcastle is charging $40 per 500 minutes for conversion, where 11 Labs charges $99 for the same. So that might be an interesting comparison to test out, because if you can get it for less, more than half off, then that might be a real case to jump to them if you've already been using 11 Labs and things like that.
You're on mute, Beth.
I'm trying to find the tab. Okay, so open source voice and text to speech weave. I got a couple of them. One is that Stability released. Yeah, no, I found where this tab was, but now I can't find that. Stable Audio Open. It's an open source model for audio samples and sound design. So it's text to audio, not text to speech. All right. So I don't get credit for that weave. But last Thursday, Amazon announced Alexa Plus, and it will be powered by Claude 3.7. They also announced yesterday, sometime in AI time, their new reasoning model. But the Alexa news is that Alexa Plus will start rolling out in the US in the next few weeks, and during an early access period, and subsequently in waves over the coming months. So basically, it's here, coming sometime, is how I would interpret that. They are prioritizing the Echo Show models 8, 10, 15, and 21. And if you are a Prime subscriber, it's free for you. For other people who want to use it, it is 20. It's $19.95, I think. And the third in our Lady Wiretap Weave people, Apple has pushed back its smarter Siri to maybe 2027. So a big push, it seems.
I
And
have a weave off of that. So
awesome.
yeah, so yeah, a lot of people have been commenting and are making comments about, Apple's talked about Siri now won't be real until 2027. Well, to counter that, and they might miss the boat with this, Deutsche Telekom and Perplexity announced their AI phone, which will be less than $1,000. Now, Deutsche Telekom in the US is known as T-Mobile. So they talked about this earlier in the year about, maybe we'll make an AI phone. Well, now they've partnered with Perplexity to design, manufacture, and release these AI-centric phones, which will have all of the AI bells and whistles that we have been hyped to expect, right? Chatting, being able to provide vision capabilities, search information, and this is going to be a lot of heavy lifting. Now, Perplexity is a major partner, but they are also partnering with all the other major firms in their various spaces, 11 Labs, Google, all of these different AI companies. So Apple, you better get on it, because T-Mobile might eat your lunch.
Which is good because I have T-Mobile. So I say yes to that. I wanted to share this again about voice voice cloning and all that kind of stuff we were just talking about and how that's getting better. Matt Wolf shared this on his update video, and I didn't know until I went and tried it, but he was like, man, I'm really excited about this. So AI, who we've talked about before in this show for sure, has this new, it's called, Octave. It's called Octave, is this new platform. They basically have a new way of doing it, and it's supposed to create more expressive text. So on the screen here, I just grabbed one of Jen's comments from the live show that she did, and we have this as Mrs. Pembroke. And you can see over here on the right, active instructions that I auto-generated. So the voice is expressive with excitement, happiness, and amusement, with a hint of playful exasperation, a call for change. All right, probably would change that out a little bit, but let's go ahead and play it really quick to hear what Miss Pembroke sounds like. But it's supposed to have a better understanding of lexicon, right? Where to put emphasis and things like that. So let's find out.
Just in my guy! You're on fire today! Also, what's with the damsel in distress trope? Retired! Let's see Wario get jailed for his shenanigans.
So just just one example of it, but it's actually really, really cool. I don't know if that's the best example, but it made me laugh, so I put it on there. But it does a good job and better than 11 Labs or anything else I've used up until this point of getting nuances. And there's so many ways, like it's a playground for real, because there's so many different ways that you can change not only voices, you can create your own voice with different inflections in it. It will map your face for different tone inflections and things like that. You can give it acting instructions, all of the above. So if you've ever wanted to have your text as a really expressive pirate, a scurvy pirate, then I think Hume is a good option for you. If nothing else, I'm literally playing with it for free. They give you credits, so go sign up. You can go to platform.hume.ai or maybe just hume.ai to sign up for Octave. And when you do, you're going to see a screen like this where you have voice design, you have an empathetic voice interface, the talk to EVI everywhere. EVI is the model name. This expression measurement, which I was doing yesterday, which is super fun. It's really tiny on the screen, but basically as you move your face around and do more emotive, I guess, acting and stuff, it tells you what it thinks your expression is doing. I played with that for way too long on my own camera yesterday. So go play with that if you like. It doesn't cost any credits or whatever. It's just interesting. And I'm not an actor, but I suppose I'd be using something like that to try to really hone in that, super confused yet concerned look that I really needed for a part or something. I could use a tool like this, I guess. So yeah, that wasn't on my bingo card either. But since you guys are bringing up all the good stuff, go play with Hume. I think it's really cool.
I have one. It is from Google, and it is their new data science agent in the Colab notebooks. In Colab notebooks. Basically, you open a blank Colab notebook, you add your data, right? Your data file, your CSV, and it can pull from your Drive account. That's where it lives. So it can pull from data that's actually on your Drive already. You describe your goals and what kind of analysis or prototype you want it to build. There's a Gemini side panel, and then the data science agent gets to work. I have to say that I can't wait to try this out with our show data because I tried to do a bunch of analysis, and this sounds like a very excellent idea. And really, what this does is the Colab notebook can code, right? So the Colab notebook agent can code. So you're mixing both. You're using AI's ability to um, look at data and reason and pull out things, but if you've ever tried to do that with really large amounts of data in Gemini, it gets a little funky, right? Like it gives you a lot from the beginning of the data, maybe a little from the end of the data, and there's that like gray area in the middle that's pretty important, but AI doesn't um AI as itself doesn't necessarily treat all the information in the same. But if you can add code to it, now you're running code to be able to do the analysis, like with everything having equal importance. And then you get to have the visualization and that stuff be created by AI. I'm super excited about this. I learned it prepping for the show and I have not used it, but I will by tomorrow. Promise.
A different Google story is that they've added a new feature to their AI assistant Gemini on mobile. I had to check on this to see where it was, where you can now, as the video search feature, Google has teased out. No, that's not what I wanted to say. It's got a screen share feature, which lets users share what's on their phone screen with Gemini and ask questions about the company. As an example, the company showed a video of a user shopping for a pair of baggy jeans and asking Gemini what other clothing would pair well with it. So basically, hey, this is what I'm looking at on my screen. Use, visual cues and its ability to look at that image to use the power of the internet to do future searches and get the power of AI and Gemini. It's very cool. I think it's cool. There's a lot of times where I would love to just share my screen and be like, what am I supposed to do about this? Especially if it was like camera, which they do show. which I think would be really cool to say, like, I'm in my house, I'm looking at this thing, or an easy one. I want to replace I want to do my annual maintenance on my HVAC system. I know I'm supposed to wash it through with some vinegar. What pipe am I supposed to send that down? And then to take a picture. And I mean, it's like things that come up every half a year or something like that, or once a year at most. But I know I'm supposed to do it. I know I'm supposed to clear it out, but it's been a year. Hey, Gemini, like, what pipe? You can do the similar thing, by the way, inside of ChatGPT. You could also do the same thing inside of Perplexity, but now Gemini also has that feature to look at your screen, which is, I think, a super cool feature. So just
I
another,
leave off that one, weaving off of using your computer and either the browser or vision on the desktop through an application like the Claude application or the ChatGPT application on your desktop. Um, Opera is a browser company. Somebody uses Opera here. I'm seeing them right here. Any others use Opera? I don't. I've never even downloaded it. But Opera has released a browser operator. Okay. Now we've talked about operator before. This is an AI that's able to work through your browser and on your desktop and take over with just simple natural language instructions, a sequence of steps that you want it to take, and it reasons through those things and actually uses your credentials and your access via browser to operate out there on the web. So Opera says this is the first time a browser can use AI to perform tasks on the web and allow you to do more meaningful things with your time instead. So where'd Chrome go? Where's Edge? Where's Arc? They haven't yet created an operator built into the browser. Opera beat them all to the punch.
and Perplexity says they're coming with one with Comet, right? But they didn't tell us anything about it other than that. Yeah.
Well, what I also find interesting is that the Opera operator, which is not their first AI component, they have an AI component for asking questions and things like that. But the operator, what one of the points that they pushed was that it's a local instance, right? Operator in ChatGPT is an instance that's spun up and run on their servers, right? Whereas this operator is supposed to run on your local system, which I think could be a huge gain in efficiency and speed. Also, there's data security questions and things like that. So I find it really, really interesting that they came out with this. They beat out Arc. They beat out Perplexity and everybody else to getting this out. So we'll see how well it does. And yeah, I'm excited.
Speaking of local installs, I have this one last thing, and then I got to scoot for an appointment. But Pieces for developers. Pieces is the name of the product. It's an on-device AI that remembers everything you work on across all LLMs, across all applications. It's a horizontal co-pilot rather than a vertical co-pilot. It does everything, it's watching everything that you do. So you can ask questions. Well, yeah, I was working on this project yesterday. What was the little thing that so and so said in the chat? And it's going to bring it back up for you. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Limitless and the sort of the constant remembering. By the way, I sprung for the Limitless microphone. It's coming. I'm going to try it and just see what happens with that. Something that's listening to me constantly, but actually has the ability to create, in effect, an outboard memory. Well, this tool, they call it long-term memory -2. Pieces long-term memory -2. And it was the number one product on Product Hunt when it launched. It got a lot of attention from developers because they've been looking for this. Not just a co-pilot to help you look at code, but it remembers everything that you do across all the applications.
As somebody who is in like 6 or 7 or 10 different ChatGPT teams for my clients at once, I am in so many different chats and so many different tools that I see the value of this just so I can keep clear where I built something. It's now getting to the point where I've built custom GPTs and I forget where I built it because I'm sandboxing one, I'm testing for a client, I'm not deploying yet. It's in a client's account, it's in my account, it's in the scaled account. Oh my God. Yeah, I would love that just for the ChatGPT, never mind Claude
It's
and Gemini
currently
and everything
free.
else.
It's currently free, so
That's awesome.
go download. It's a local application, so download it now. Now they say it's always going to be free, but there's going to be paid additions to it, so you'll be able to add capabilities onto it. I have to go. See you
Yeah.
later.
I have a quick story here that well, it's quick. It's quick. I mean, we could have a whole conversation about this. This is going to be a whole show, but I do want to bring it up because I brought it up at the top of the show. World's largest call center deploys AI to quote neutralize the accent unquote of Indian employees. Well, that's dystopian. That's the title of this article. Um, this is very interesting. This is it says fresh off the heels of the AI powered uh, accent adjustments in the Oscar nominated 2024 film The Brutalist. By the way, if you don't know that story. Is it Adrian Brody? Is it no? Who's that? Not Adrian Brody. Is that right? Yeah, the actor in it. And for certain, I believe it was Hungarian words. They used AI to accurately correct his pronunciation after the fact. And they said they tried a bunch of other ways. They were on a very limited budget. I think that's like a independent field. So the super limited budget, they did not have the ability or the time to do it the long way. And so they used AI to do that, and people had opinions on it. So that's what they're talking about there. The French company that owns the largest call center in the world has announced that it's using similar technology to quote, this is not me, soften its Indian-based agents' accents. So this is interesting. The the deputy CEO said it's a win-win for both parties. But then it says in the article, and this is from futurism.com, despite those sentiments, however, the markets seem to disagree. As investing.com reports, teleconference stocks fell 11% after the company in announced in an investor call earlier the week that it was investing under up to 104 million in AI technologies. And then it goes on to say, reading between the lines, it sounds like investors aren't impressed with that big of a spend on AI technology, or perhaps are displeased with the optics of quote neutralizing call center work accents. So this is an interesting story, and there's a lot to unpack into that one. I agree with that last sentence, which is this is something that call centers and companies who deploy call centers have been working with for a long time. I don't know that there's a person around who hasn't gotten on a call and you're trying to get customer service and there's a wonderful person on the other side, but there is a bottleneck with trying to best understand what they're saying back. I have certainly been on many calls like that, and despite wonderful people, it is what it is. Sometimes it could be very difficult, especially if you're like in a loud environment or whatever. So I get where they're going with this because the idea would be that for somebody like me, maybe that I reach a call center and it's easier for me to comprehend. Perhaps that keeps calls from um going hot, and needing other people and just resolves whatever the issue for the call center is doing. But as it points out, there's the optics side of this, and the markets have apparently reacted. Either they don't like the AI or they don't like the optics of this because, man, is this a touchy situation of saying, well, what are we saying here? That we don't want Indian people to sound Indian? Look, what are we saying here? Where does this end? Where does that ball stop running down the hill? Because pretty soon you're calling any call center and there's Joe Blow, middle America, one dialect, and everything is being AI corrected to that.
But
And
you're m but you're you're missing the customer service, view, right? Like, if you really wanna make sure that your customer can understand what is being said, then you should give the power to the customer to be able to choose the language that is spoken to them, to be able to choose, like, I'm okay with a slider, right? Like, I need you to talk slower. I need you like, if if your thinking about this from a real customer standpoint, I feel like there are a bunch of things missing in this story, or in this discussion, from the company perspective. Yeah, it smells weird. It smells funny, and I don't like it.
I think Greg pulls out an interesting comment here, which I thought of the same thing, Greg. I won't say the first part. AI will replace those who generate the accent, period. Well, that's where I thought about this, Greg, is the first part of your comment there, because I feel like this is a stopgap measure, because one area I would expect that will eventually probably be at a entry level to customer service. Now, I'm not saying when things get escalated, but at an entry level customer service, we will all be talking to AI agents because they're going to be that good, and the customer isn't going to care because their calls are being handled. Right. So the customer side, they're gonna be like, I just need my answer. I need this to be fixed, or I'm in a situation in an airport and I need help with this or whatever. And I do believe that in time, we will all be talking to AI agents and they will sound very, very human. I don't know exactly what accent or how they will sound, but we will all be talking to AI agents. And I think only until those things really escalate, and you may not even really know in the near future or the somewhat near future when that call transitions from AI to a human, because it might be so subtle that you're getting a great conversation and you're getting the help. But when you escalate it, all of a sudden there's an actual live human on the call to take it to the next level. And that's only until the AI is not good enough to handle that next level and that next level and so on and so forth. So, anyway, wanted to bring it up because that is an interesting story. Yeah. Um, yes, Beth.
Nope, I just couldn't hear what Jimmy said.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying if the group ever if the company even gives you the option to escalate to a non-AI at all. I mean, just look at how Google and Meta handle customer service. They don't have a person to talk to. And if there is a number, it just leads you to, oh, go look at this FAQ for for their customer service. So we may see a scale issue here as well. Okay.
Spoken like a person who has been in the bubble of the different bubble of the wheel, the little exercise wheel. No, it's got to be this. Bless you if you've monetized your accounts and it went smoothly.
I only have one other one, and then if you guys have any other last ones to wrap it up. My last one was from yesterday. I happened to catch this YouTube video introducing next gen AI. It was from OpenAI, which is a YouTube video that popped up on my screen. A consortium to advance the research and education with AI. OpenAI commits 50 million, which, let's be honest, sounds like a drop in the bucket these days. Commits 50 million, and I go, Like, I mean, I guess if you have a couple pennies to pinch together, give them 50 million. Sure, whatever. But anyway, in funding and tools to leading institutions, it was sort of like a 3-minute video, prepackaged. Say we're launching next gen AI. That's all together. A first of its kind consortium with 15 leading research institutes, of which they hear from people in the video. So you can go check that out. Dedicated to using AI to accelerate research breakthroughs and transform education. It's a cool 3-minute piece. If you want to go find it on YouTube, I'm sure you can, or you can just go to the news from OpenAI, talking about how different people were going to use it. One of those 15 research, right there, baby, UGA. That's my alma mater. So happy to see UGA. Who amazing people, amazing students there, as well as Caltech, California State University System, Duke, UGA, Harvard, Howard, Massachusetts, or MIT, University of Michigan, Mississippi, University of Mississippi, the Ohio State University, University of Oxford, Sciences Pro, I don't know that one, Texas A&M, as well as Boston's Children's Hospital and Boston Public Library and OpenAI. So there you go. So that's all the different things they're doing, and you can see it breaks it down by what different universities are working on what problems. Very interesting, very cool. We've seen OpenAI commit to education and universities, obviously with their ed platform and everything else, but always happy to see supporting and funding research for these universities and these bright folks that are there. So hopefully more of a feel good story on that one.
Nice. I have a weave off Sora. OpenAI has announced that they are. Sorry, I have a weave off OpenAI.
I gotcha.
OpenAI has announced that they are moving Sora to within ChatGPT. I have to admit, I did not know it wasn't already there because it's in your ChatGPT interface. But apparently, when you click the little thing that says Sora, it takes you to the web interface of Sora. And they are looking to add it in the same way that you can have ChatGPT just generate images from Dolly. They're looking to do that with it. It is seen as possibly a play to get more people to remind people that Sora is available. And if you upgrade to the $200 level, you get more. Maybe you get unlimited, you get more Sora. So it's seen as a potential play for that.
The only thing I saw in that one was that you wouldn't get the same features as you do on the standalone Sora site, that it would be like literally create me this video. But if you remember on the Sora site, you can actually do some editing and splicing. And it's been a while, honestly, since I've been in there. I have not gone back to Sora since I've had access to Google's VO2 because it's just insanely better in my opinion. But yeah, sure. Let's put it in. Let's put it right into ChatGPT. That will definitely get me to use it more often. So it's a good thing.
It's true. And it's part of that whole overall strategy to have that unified interface and that unified experience, which it totally tracks. I did like the little mention about planning to use Sora as their more photorealistic or hyperrealistic generator over Dolly. So we'll see what happens to Dolly after that. I do have a couple of quick ones. Um, AI and science. So here we go. University of Hong Kong has created a neuromorphic exposure control system, and it improves machine vision in extreme lighting environments. So this control unit, basically a AI model that allows recognition and other aspects of computer vision or machine vision to improve on the existing tech out there. What this does is things like applied use cases, autonomous driving. They found that they were able to improve detection accuracy by 43%. Augmented reality, they achieved 11% higher um, pose estimation for hand tracking, right? This is under like surgical lights. So extreme lighting is like really bright lights and things like that, blinding sunlight. And the problem with the extreme light is it completely washes out most vision capabilities. Um, and some additional improvements in 3D reconstruction and medical AR. Connected to that to vision is coming out of Penn State is they have come up with their model that uses computer vision to help with um, controlled environmental agriculture. And this is basically soilless plant growth, right? So you might have seen microgreens grown in like a basement or in a container, context container or something like that, connex container. Um, and with a combination of Internet of Things, their AI model, and computer vision, they're able to essentially do the equivalent of time-lapse photography, taking snapshots at intervals. And the AI model can extrapolate between the two to record growth, notice, any hindrances to growth. Perhaps you need more light or nutrients or stuff like that. So you can data track that agricultural growth, which is super important when you want to maximize yield, turnover, and if you're just in that space at all, which I think will be more and more prevalent as people will need more and more options for food sources and things like that. So those are my two science ones. I do have a quick pattern, what I'll call pattern recognition, and it's technically a weave because it talks about the company CoreWeave, which is an Nvidia backed company where they help run data centers and build data centers and things like that, right? And they made a acquisition, I believe, yes, of a company's AI developer platform called Weights and Biases, which they're hoping to leverage in AI communications, networking, and development core tools for their data centers that they're building, right? So we've been hearing a lot of talk about new data centers and things like that. They're also partnering with Eco Data Center, which is a Swedish company that is building eco-friendly data centers. That's their main focus. So data center company picking up AI development and communication tools to integrate within their data centers being built with by an eco-friendly or sustainable, more sustainable data center manufacturing or building company. So there might be something there, and we'll keep an eye on that space. That's all.
Very cool. All right. Well, listen, we're going to stop there, I think, and wrap it up. Thanks to all the fun and very entertaining today conversations in the live chat inside of YouTube. Man, we covered a lot of ground in there, or you guys did, from chips to so much more in there for Pikachus and a lot more in there. So always appreciate the conversations going on. Love that you guys are always having a good time and are overall positive. You guys add to the show. Obviously, yes, you're commenting on what we're talking about on the show as well. So we appreciate that. So big shout out to all our crew that is inside the YouTube live chat. Don't forget, you can join them anytime you like. If you're available at 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, that's when we do this show. Even if you've never seen us before, we're the Daily AI Show, and that's what we do. We show up every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Today was episode 413, I think, 413. So we've been doing this a while at this point. And you can come hang out with us live if you'd like. If not, you can catch us on the replays. So lots of great content on our sites. Check us out on, everywhere from the podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple, where we're growing tremendously. We don't talk about it as much, but we're doing great over there, as well as obviously YouTube. And on LinkedIn, although LinkedIn doesn't seem to care that we exist. But you can find us on LinkedIn too. We go live on there every day as well. So that's it. Beth, before we go, do we know what do we have tomorrow? So do we know what shows do we know tomorrow's show topic if I slow down just a hair?
We will be talking about whether AI is killing sauce, the sauce model. It was a show that Carl was gonna be a part of, and he's not a part of tomorrow. So we may or may not be doing that show tomorrow, but we will have a great show.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about something amazing in AI, and it'll be like one of those mystery boxes where you just have to show up and find out what we're talking about in the day. But regardless of what it is, we'll be prepared. You guys will be here in the comments, and we're gonna have a good time regardless. So that's that. Friday we have our 2-week recap show where we're going to circle back to all the great content we've done over the last 2 weeks. So come back and hang out with us for that. That's it for today, guys. Have a wonderful day. Thanks again to everybody for participating in the comments, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye.